It's strange how a single sentence can erase everything you've built. Your dreams, your future, your sense of belonging. For me, it started with 6 words. We're not funding this circus anymore, that's what my mother said. Calm, sharp. Final.my wedding plans gone. My life paused mid-breath. My sister just smirked, scrolling through her phone like my heartbreak was a show she'd already seen. And my father? Silent. Always silent. That kind of silence that doesn't protect. It obeys that I could have screamed. I could have begged. But I didn't. I just said one word. Understood. They thought it meant surrender. They had no idea what it really meant. 3 weeks later, when their perfect world began to crumble, they finally learned from the outside. My family looked like something you'd see on a Christmas card. Smiling faces, brick house, polished manners. But every smile came with rules attached. My mother, Evelyn, ran the house like a company. Every decision approved, every dream audited. My father, Thomas, was her echo. And my sister, Camille, her golden child. I used to draw dresses when I was a kid, whole sketchbooks full of color and fabric. I'd sit by my window for hours, imagining what freedom might look like in silk. One afternoon, Mom found my drawings. She looked at them like they were evidence of a crime. Then she tossed them in the trash. You're not wasting your life on fantasies, she said. Dad nodded like that made it law. That was the day I learned silence could keep the peace. So I became what they wanted: steady, safe, predictable. I became an accountant. Camille went into marketing, which was creative enough to sound respectable. When she opened her boutique, Mom threw a party, string lights, champagne, the whole thing. You've always had such flair, she said, pearls flashing. I remember the sting of that word. Flair. Mine was never allowed. Then I met Noah. He wasn't rich or powerful. He worked for a youth program mentoring kids. He laughed too easily, asked questions that made you think. With him I felt seen. Not managed. Not measured. Just me. The first time I brought him home, my mother's smile froze midair. She asked what he did. When he told her, she said, "How admirable." Like it was charity work. Camille whispered, "Ambition's optional, I guess," and giggled. Dad just muttered something about kindness being a virtue. For 3 years, Noah stood by me through every backhanded comment, every polite insult. We saved for our wedding ourselves, no loans, no help. When Mom offered to contribute, I thought maybe she'd changed, that I was wrong. That morning she called me over. I thought it was about flowers or catering. But the moment I walked into that house, I could feel it. Something cold waiting. Mom stood by the fireplace, arms crossed. Camille lounged on the couch. Dad stared at the rug. "We're not funding this circus," Mom said. "Better luck next time," Camille added. And there it was. The sentence that broke everything. That I swallowed hard, nodded once and said, "Understood." The silence that followed was thick, almost proud. They thought they'd won. They thought I'd crawl back. But that word, it didn't mean surrender anymore. That night I drove aimlessly, rain streaking down the windshield. My phone buzzed, Noah calling, but I couldn't answer. I needed quiet. By the time I got home, my hands had stopped shaking. The invitations sat on the counter, untouched. I swept them into a box, shut the lid, and just stood there. Not crying. Not angry. Just empty. When Noah came over, I told him, "They canceled it." "What do you mean?" he asked. "They called the venue, the florist, everything. It's gone." He wanted to fight. To fix it. But this time I didn't want saving. I wanted to act. Later that night I found my old sketchbook buried in a drawer. The one Mom had thrown away. I traced the faded lines of a dress and felt something burn inside me. Defiance, that word, understood, echoed in my mind. It had always meant giving up. But now it meant something else. It meant wait and see. That I started digging emails, bank records, every invoice tied to the wedding. Something was off. The cancellations happened too fast. Too clean. The next morning I called the venue. The coordinator hesitated before saying, "I'm sorry, Ms. Holt, but we received your signed cancellation notice." "My what?" "It had your signature," she said softly. Someone had forged my name. They hadn't just canceled my wedding. They'd erased me from it. I drove straight to my old company lawyer, Diane Ross. Sharp woman. No nonsense. When I told her, she didn't flinch. Just said, "Show me the paperwork." We went through everything. And there it was, the fake signature. My name in clumsy ink. Diane looked up. "They forged it," she said. And if they used your financial info, that's fraud. Fraud. The word made the room tilt. We combed through accounts. Every payment, every transfer. Thousands of dollars missing. Money wired to Camille Holt Designs. Her boutique. Another trail led to home renovations under my parents' names. They used your funds, Diane said. And that's just what's on paper. That night I sat in the dark, the glow of my laptop screen on my face. The puzzle pieces started fitting together. Mom's panic, Camille's smirk, Dad's silence. The wedding wasn't just sabotage. It was cover. Then the phone rang. My uncle's name flashed on the screen. We hadn't spoken in years. There's something you should know, he said. It's about your grandfather's trust. I froze. He told me my grandfather had set up a $250,000 trust fund for me. Money that would only release once I got married. My parents had been managing it. And for years they'd been siphoning from it. Camille's boutique. Their house remodel. All of it. That if I'd gotten married, the trust would have been audited. They couldn't risk it. They hadn't stopped my wedding out of disapproval. They'd stopped it to cover their theft. That I hung up and sat in the quiet, the truth sinking in like poison. Then I emailed Diane one sentence. We're filing the case. The courtroom smelled of dust and old wood. When the judge said, Holt versus Holt, I almost laughed. My family had become my defendants. Across the room, Mom's pearls gleamed under the fluorescent light, but her eyes were cold. Dad looked small. Camille tried to hide behind her phone. Diane laid everything out, the forged signature, the missing money, the trust fund. My uncle testified. My mother tried to twist it. We were protecting you, she said. That man would have ruined you. I met her eyes. Protect me by stealing from me? She faltered. We only used what we needed. Camille was struggling. Maybe she should have learned how to fall, I said quietly. Camille snapped. You think you're better than us? You're nothing without this family. The judge slammed the gavel when it was over. The verdict was simple. They were guilty. Ordered to repay every cent plus damages. Outside, the sky was bright and blue. I didn't smile. I just breathed. For the first time in years I could. A few months later, I stood at the same venue, the Ivy Terrace. Same archway, same ivy. But this time it was mine. No drama, no control, just peace. When I walked down the aisle toward Noah, there was no father beside me. I walked myself. Every step felt like reclaiming something stolen. After the ceremony, under soft lights and laughter, I sent one final email. Evelyn, Thomas, Camille, the court showed who you are. I wish you peace, but this is goodbye. Weeks passed. Then the calls started. Mom, Dad, Camille, all apologizing in shaky voices. We just want to talk. Things got out of hand. I didn't answer. One night, Mom left a voicemail. Your father lost his job. Camille's business collapsed. We need help. I stared at the wall, not angry anymore. Just done. That night I typed one message back. The circus is already full. Then I set the phone down, poured a glass of wine, and went back to sketching under the soft kitchen light. Now every morning I wake up to sunlight spilling across my desk. Fabric swatches, designs, color charts, my studio, my dream finally mine. Freedom doesn't roar. It hums quietly, like a steady heartbeat. And why Mother once said my wedding was a circus. Maybe she was right. Because now, the show's over. And I'm the one who walked away smiling. If you've ever had to choose yourself over family, tell me your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because there's always another story waiting to be told.